2 years ago, I ran the Cellcom 5K, and I had decided to do that because I had joined Weight Watchers. I was about 50 pounds overweight and had just been diagnosed with asthma and had pneumonia, and I was so sick, and I laid on that couch and I thought, this cannot be my life. I cannot live like this. And as I was doing the 5K, I thought, well, 1 year from now, I could do the half marathon. I could. That whole year, I just built my base and I kept building my mileage. And, I remember the first day I went on a 7-mile run and I was like, I can't believe I just ran 7 miles. Then I hadn't even gotten to Cellcom yet, which is in May. It was March, and I heard an advertisement on the radio for Fox Cities marathon, and I was like, I could do that. I could so do a full marathon. I don't know why. I just thought about it, and I came home, turned on the computer, and I registered right then. And I was like, all right, I'm registered for a full marathon. And that was it. Getting to a marathon is really interesting because you get there and there's all these people milling around. I was just so nervous, and my leg had felt good at the time. Had to check all my gear. I think I retied my shoes 3 times because I wanted them to be at the right tightness, and I could just feel my heart beating. I could hear my heart beating. All these waves of people. I was just so nervous. I was so scared and thinking, what am I thinking? Why am I doing this? And then the national anthem, and it was just all kind of a blur. I heard the gun go off, then just taking off, and all the crowds, the cheering, it was so exhilarating. I mean, I've never felt so alive as being out there on a marathon course.
We can run until the light of day is done, holding on, strings attached to setting sun.
And then I just settled in and just kept going for a couple miles until my IT band really started to hurt. It was painful, but I just didn't want to give up. I had worked so hard for it. At the halfway point, I knew my knee was just not going to get better. I had to stop. And when I stood up, it just clenched. I was extremely determined to finish that thing. I had said I was going to do a marathon, and I was going to do a marathon. I just knew I couldn't let it go. I had come that far and I had trained so hard. So once I crossed 20, I knew I was going to finish. Regardless of how long it took me, I was going to finish. So what I love about Fox Cities is even though they offered multiple times to give me a ride back, I just said, no, I'm finishing. And they were so supportive. The medical people, the directors, they were so supportive. Then they met me with flowers at the finish because they had followed me the whole way from the halfway point all the way up to the finish. So crossing the finish line for me taught me that I am so much more tough than I had ever thought I was, mentally and physically. I could have never imagined 2 years ago that I would do that I would not only do a marathon, but do it under such duress and still finish and force myself to finish. When I crossed that finish line, I knew I could do anything I wanted to do. Last year, I said I would never do this again. This year, it's my comeback. I'm Cassandra, and this is what moves me.